Mhm.
One question we've been getting a lot lately is questions about whether or not people qualify. And I think you can relate to this because it's a little bit unclear. Do I qualify to be a trainer or not?
Mhm.
Um, so we sort of ask these questions. And one thing that is really important to know that we will help you navigate the Yoga Alliance system, but we certainly do not work for and are not affiliated with Yoga Alliance. So we understand their process, but to offer yoga teacher training, the first question is sort of, do we want to do it in partnership with Yoga Alliance and have a registered training, or do you not? Um, so, really, Yoga Alliance is the entity that has set this idea of a 200-hour program and a 200-hour standard or minimum. And the reality is, in the world of yoga itself, when we remove Yoga Alliance, there aren't a whole lot of rules. um, so the first question we ask people, you know, is about their experience. Where are you at with your teaching?
I think what you're saying is really important because I think we're getting to the point where it's equal number of people are registering schools or aren't registering schools with Yoga Alliance. So um, for us, when we thought about registering a school with Yoga Alliance, we basically just did it as a business decision because students wanted it. And we felt like there were most of our students don't actually register with Yoga Alliance after they graduate, but there's a certain number who want to know they can. And so so we made that decision to register. So the first part about this is like, are you ready to even be a trainer, whether it's with a registered school or an unregistered school? So if you don't meet all the Yoga Alliance qualifications, you actually could offer an unregistered training. And so this little assessment, the first thing is like, do you personally have a certificate? So we want to make sure that experienced yoga teachers are leading the training, whether they're registered with Yoga Alliance or not. Are you an experienced yoga teacher who's been teaching for at least 4 years? And the number 4 years comes from Yoga Alliance. And even though you don't have to register a school with Yoga Alliance, that standard is helpful to just know the industry standard of who is usually a trainer is someone who's been teaching for about 4 years. That being said, before 2025, when you could, the industry standard was that you could be an experienced registered yoga teacher with Yoga Alliance at the 200 level, and that only required 2 years of experience teaching. So the industry standard has just shifted over the last year or so from two years experience to 4 years experience. And I think that's because there's a lot more experienced yoga teachers now. So people can have higher standards because of that. And then we have, are you interested in teaching all the limbs of yoga to your students? So yoga teacher training is often the place where we move outside of an asana class and we're teaching beyond asana. Maybe it wouldn't be the 8 limbs for you, but maybe there's other philosophies that you would want to start teaching that you're ready to teach and that maybe you don't get a chance to teach in a regular yoga class. Number 5, are you ready to teach fewer classes each week and or allow the teachers you train to lighten your schedule? And I think this is a really fair consideration that if you're going to run a teacher training, you're going to have more teachers that you've trained, and you have to be ready to let them start teaching the classes. And then you step back into other roles other than teaching so many classes. So I don't know for you, Claire, but for me, when at my peak of teaching yoga classes, I was teaching 28 classes a week. And I had done that, and often they were at one location. So sometimes I would teach at a community center and have 3 or 4 classes in a row. So it worked, but it got tiring. And when I started running the training, I was ready to step back from all those classes. I was ready to make that shift. If you're a teacher who feels like you're going to have students graduate and then you're going to resent that they're trying to start classes near you, then I would not run a teacher training, because it's not really fair to them. To, it's kind of like a, yes, be a teacher, but don't be a teacher, you know? So, so it's something to really consider if you're ready to open up and step back into other roles. And that's the nice thing about teacher training, is that the role of the trainer is a little more like exclusive, so to speak, or difficult to fill than to teach a typical class, like a yoga class. So less people can fill that role. So if you're ready to fill that role, then that probably means you're going to teach less classes. And then number 6 is, do you have a website or a newsletter or social media, some kind of payment system in place, like to support your yoga teacher training? So you wear all the hats in the business, as you probably know, as a yoga teacher. And so somehow the people have to come from somewhere. So how are they going to find out about your training? And number 7, have you considered what type of yoga teacher training school you would have? Like, have you considered, will you register with Yoga Alliance or not? So if you've already pondered those questions, that's probably a good indication that you're ready to be a trainer. So a simple yes or no would work there. And do you welcome the new challenge and inspiration that will come as a yoga trainer? It's a different style of teaching. It's longer workshops and longer times than an hour and maybe a 90-minute class. So it just kind of do a quick assessment of how many yeses you had and how many no's you had. What we say is, if you have like 6 to 8 yeses, you're ready. You have 0 to 3, maybe you want to wait a little longer, because if you don't have the experience, if you don't have the students, if you don't have the interest, if you feel like it would be competitive, then you might want to wait a bit. And then if you have 4 to 5, continue to get more information and assess whether you're ready. So if it's a little bit on the fence if you have 4 to 5 yeses.